we started the new Masechta, Beishno the B'Yontif. We saw the shita of Beis Hillel, that it's also an egg that's born on Yontif. Beis Shammai it's mutter. We saw 4 different opinions as to the reason for Beis Hillel. We saw the shita of Nachman al Smuksa. We saw the shita of Rabbi al Hachana. We saw the shita of Rabbi Yosef al Perish and Ashru, and the shita of Rabbi Yitzchak al Mashkin Shezavu. Today we'll see the Indian of Beis Shammai. What's Beis Shammai shita? We're up to Dalid Amid Aleph. We're about halfway, a little less than halfway down. The first word on the line is Tanya. Tanya Acher Mayrim. Others say that's Reb Meir, the Talmud of Acher. Mishum Reb Eliezer, the name Reb Eliezer. Beitzah Te'achel, a beitzah that's born on Yontif. He v'ima, you can eat it and its mother. So the Gemara wants the Mayaskina. Elaim b'tana goes to if you tell me about a hen that is for dinner, in other words, you prepared it for dinner, the hen is for dinner. So pshita the he v'ima shaya. So why do you have to tell me the din? Rashi said in the mother. Once you told me the egg is mutter, of course the mother's mutter. Again, the egg only gets the din of the mother. It's uchla the ifris, we said. So therefore, if the egg is mutter, certainly the mother's mutter. Ella must be speaking. B'kanagolas hamedus legal beitzin. There must be one that is muksa, that you set aside for eggs. So if that's the case, he v'ima is surah. So he v'ima arasa. So what's the reason that Beis Shammai would say it's mutter? Some Rebbe say te'ochel agav ima. It means it's eaten agav the mother. Now the Gemara will explain what that means. That it's eaten agav the mother. Hey kidami, Amar Rabbi Kigoin shalochka stam. You bought it without any distinction. You know, it wasn't bought for dinner. It wasn't bought for eggs. It just was bought stam. So nishchita, if you go ahead and shecht it on Yantif, chuvrovel bel achila medes. We see clearly that it was for the purpose of achila, and therefore you could use the egg. Like nishchita, if you don't shecht it, hover the legadol beitzim. When you see was what for legadol beitzim, it was for the purpose of raising eggs, and therefore the egg would be aser. Rav Mori gives a different teretz. What does it mean that it's eaten and its mother's eaten? Is guzma katani? We're learning a derech guzma. Rashi explains. Look at guzma. Rashi explains what guzma is. A little bit below. Guzma katani. Ka'adam sheroitza lahachzik devarav. Medaber yes. A person wants to go ahead and make his words true, so he speaks a little bit over the top. Medaber, he speaks a little bit over the top. And we're speaking about a chicken that is over lachila. And he's arguing on Beis Hillel that a chicken that's standing for achila could in fact the egg could be eaten. Beis Hillel says not for 4 different reasons. You don't have to tell me anything about the mother. You don't even tell me the mother. It's not only can you just say you can eat the egg, you can eat the mother. It's just a guzma. It's just a guzma. But it's speaking about a chicken that is standing to be eaten, and there is no chiddush in the mother whatsoever. That's the Gemara, an answer to the Gemara's question. Question of pshit, it's poshit, if it's there for dinner and it's not muktzah, it was set aside that the egg is mutter. That we said the mother is guzma ba'alma, and then now the Gemara substantiates the concept of guzma. Where do you see that? The Tanya acherim moimim mishum Rebbe Eliezer. Acherim saying the name of Rebbe Eliezer. We're about parallel to the last Taisus now on the page. Beitzah te'achel hi ve'ima. Not only its mother, the efrayach, its chick, the klipasa and its shell. Now, my klipasa, what shell are you talking about? Ilema klipa mamish. If you can tell me you eat the eggshell, klipa basachila, is an eggshell something you could eat? El, what do you have to say? Efrayach beklipasai. It must be speaking about a chick in its eggshell. Now, we're going to see a machlokes soon between Rebbe Eliezer and the Chachamim regarding at which point in time you could eat a chick that's born normally, and there's machlokes where before it opens eyes and after it opens eyes. But everyone admits that you can't eat it in its eggshell. The machlokes is that when you can eat the chick, when it opens up its eyes, it doesn't open its eyes, it's only when it's meaning it passes through its eggshell. But where it's still in the eggshell, no one can eat it. So when it says over here, you could eat the mother, the egg, the shell, the afroyach, obviously the shell of afroyach is not telling me the truth. When you said the chick in the egg, it's a guzma. The fact that you said the mother is a guzma, you just speak there a guzma and there's no chiddush. Okay, so again, right now in this Masechta we have Machlokes Beishami Beis Hillel. Hillel, we have the four pshatim, Rab Nachman, Rabba, and it appears. Right now, let's go over the shita of Rabba. Rabba said our Mishnah is speaking about a Yom Tif that followed Shabbos. And therefore, we have a Messiah that the egg that's born on Yontif was Nigmar on Shabbos, and he brought a pasuk Rabba b'Yom HaShishi from the 6 days that Eisha said Tofu Yofai. I always forget the pasuk. I'm not sure. So he brought a pasuk. Right, the pasuk said. So Chol Meichen for Yontif, Chol Meichen for Shabbos, but Shabbos can't be Meichen for Yontif, nothing can Meichen for Shabbos. So that was the shita of Rabba. Then we had the other two shitas. We had the shita of Rav Yitzchak, which was Rav Yosef, which was Perish and Ashruf, Perish from a tree that you make disattached from the tree, and the shita of Rav Yitzchak about Mashkin Shezavu. So now, continuing on the line in the Machlokes, says the Gemara, Itmar. 3 lines down where it gets wide. Shabbos for Yontif. You have a Shabbos following a Yontif, who are then Yontif following a Shabbos. Rav Amar Nolda Bizeh Asur Bizeh. Says Rav, if it's born on one day, it's Asur on the other day. Nolda Bizeh Asur Bizeh. If it's born on one day, it's Asur on the other day. Rav Yochanan Amar Nolda Bizeh Muteres Bizeh. If it's born on one day, and it's wide, it's mutter on the other day. So it says again, very important. The names. Rav says it's Asur, and Rav Yochanan says it's mutter. Right. We have a rule in Shas, Machlokes Rav Rabbi Yochanan. The halacha is always like Rabbi Yochanan. Right? Rabbi Yochanan is the primary. He was the Rosh of Eretz Yisrael, the Amorai at the time. Rav was in Babel, and the Machlokes Rav Rabbi Yochanan, halacha is like Rabbi Yochanan. Usually, as we're going to see. Name Kasava Rav Kiddush Achasi. When Rav says it's Asur, let's view Shabbos and Yontif as not 2 separate days, but one complete day. And therefore, what? It's one Kedusha Achas, and therefore, it's like one long day, and therefore it's Asur, right? And Rabbi Yochanan says that what? Not like that. Kedusha Achasi. We had a Gemara in Erevin, fellas. Shabbos following Yontif, Yontif following Shabbos. Does it suffice one Erev if you want to go directionally, or you need 2 separate Eruvim? And we paskin, you need 2 separate Eruvim. Why? Because it's 2 separate Kedushas. So you see, Rav says by Erevin it's 2 separate Kedushas. So over here by Be'esh and the B'yontif, it must be also he holds 2 separate Kedushas. So if it's 2 separate Kedushas, why is the egg Asur? Where do you see that by Erevin? The halacha is like the 4 Zakanim. Shtei Kedusha saying that Shabbos to Yontif is 2 Kedushas, and thus you will need 2 separate Eruvin. So that can't be the reason Rav says it's Asur. Elo, what's the reason it's Asur? Here we argue Hachana de Rabba. Rav Islay Hachana de Rabba. Rav holds Hachana de Rabba. So if it's born on Yontif, it was finished on Shabbos. If it was born on Shabbos, it was finished on Yontif. And ain't Shabbos making the Yontif, ain't Yontif making the Shabbos. And Rabbi Yochanan Leslay Hachana de Rabba. Just like Beis Shammai did not hold the Hachana de Rabba, so to Rabbi Yochanan did not hold the Hachana de Rabba. So that would be the Machlokes. Shabbos to Yontif says Rav, it's Asur. You know why? I hold like Rabba, since you can't be prepared from one Yontif to the next one. Yontif Shabbos, you can't prepare from Shabbos to Yontif, therefore it's Asur. Rabbi Yochanan says, no, I don't hold the Hachana de Rabba. Therefore, the day it's born, it's Asur for whatever reason. Like before, we have three different other shitas, and the next day it will be Mutter. Now we want to say Kit Hanoi. We want to say Machlokes that between Rabba and Rabbi Yochanan about a Be'esh Nolda from Shabbos to Yontif, whether it's Asur or not, is Machlokes Tanoim. The Tanya. Nolda b'Shabbos, Te'achel b'Yontif. If it's born on Shabbos, it can be eaten on Yontif. That follows this. That's mamish like Rabbi Yochanan. B'Yontif, Te'achel b'Shabbos. So apparently, what? That's exactly what Rabbi Yochanan says. It's also on that day, mutter the next day. Rabbi Yehuda, Imam Mishum Eliezer, Adayin hi Machlokes, Adayin hi Machlokes. Shabei Shami Yoim Te'achel b'Simon Lam Lo Yisleichel. So that would be Rav. And Rav was going in the Shita of Beis Hillel. In the host of Rav Ada Barava, he had these eggs that were born from Shabbos to Yontif. He brought it in front of Rabbi for a psak. Amalei, what's the din? Now I know I can't eat it today, but what about la'atvinu? No, let me broil it up today, cook it today, or I think it means the roast. Let me roast it today. Let me eat it tomorrow. Now I know I can't eat it. I can't eat it today. Can I eat it tomorrow? Now Shabbos the Yontif, we have Machlokes Rav and Rabbi Yochanan. Rav says it's asur. Rabbi Yochanan says mutar b'achila. So in l'chayra, the shayla is only according to Rav. Now Amalei, my daitcha. Rav Rabbi Yochanan, Allah Rabbi Yochanan. No, excuse me, I just tell you a stupid thing. The Allah is like no. Again, that day is asur. The question is the next day. So if you hold like Rabbi Yochanan, apparently you should be able to do it. Let me cook it today, roast it today, because I will be able to eat it tomorrow. According to Rav, it's asur both days, so of course I cannot cook it. So this is specifically based on the assumption that the halacha is in conjunction with Rabbi Yochanan, that'll be permitted the next day. Now, lo and behold, he was missing something. What was he missing? I feel Rabbi Yochanan like kashari ela legoyma lamacha. Even he only permitted to go ahead and swallow it tomorrow. If it's Yontif, going into Shabbos, and Rabbi Yochanan says it's mutter the next day, obviously, fellas, you can't cook it on Shabbos, correct? So what could you do going from Yontif to Shabbos? You'll play the part of a chazan and you'll eat a raw egg. Good? So he permitted you to eat it from Yontif to Shabbos rawly. Aval biyuma, but the day itself, when it's hatched, loy, you can't touch this, right? V'hatanya eiraya, achas beitzah shenolda b'Shabbos v'achas beitzah shenolda b'Yontif, ein mitalton leisa, you can't carry it that day. Loy lichlis boyas akli, not to use as a bottle stopper. We saw this the other day. Nor to go ahead and support a bedpost. So what's your shiloh? When you can cook it today to eat it tomorrow, guess what? You can't touch it today. It's muktzah. Even Rabbi Yochanan, who permits you to eat it tomorrow, would hold its muktzah today. So therefore, your shiloh is a moot point. Again, they wanted to ask a shiloh about Beitzah. They were born on Shabbos, going into Yontif. Can I eat it the next day? In other words, I'm not touching it today. It's Shabbos, it's Muktzah. What about eating it the next day? So Amalei, Zilla Idna, V'Tei go away today and come back tomorrow. Again, this is Shabbos going into Yontif, not our Mishnah. Our Mishnah is Be'esh Nol B'Yontif, right? This is Shabbos going into Yontif. And this is Machlokes Rav Rabbi Yochanan. Like Rav, it's asur. Like Rabbi Yochanan, it's mutter. That's apparently the shaila is asking. Again, one more time. It's Shabbos going into Yontif. He wants to know, can he eat it the next day? If the halacha is like Rabbi Yochanan, he could. If the halacha is like Rav, he can't. In other words, apparently not a big, the Gemara, we don't have to know any tremendous long. This, apparently, it's black and white. Based upon the information we all have right now, it's black and white that it's machlokes. Rav and Rabbi Yochanan, like Rav, it's asur, like Rabbi Yochanan, it's mutter. So Rabbi did not answer him. Rabbi told him the following. He told him, Zilla idna, go today, and go and come back tomorrow. Why? The Rav lemuki amaroy alave, miyumatav l'chavre, mishum shikrus. Rav on the Yontif would drink, so therefore he went paskin. So Rabbi obviously had been in his cups. He felt he wasn't clear of mind to paskin because of shikrus, and therefore he told him to come back the next day. Kiyas l'macha, when this host came back the next day, he wanted to know what's the din concerning the say. Can he eat it? So Amalei, what did he tell him? If I would have answered you yesterday, Rashi says, if I would have passed him for you yesterday in my shechus, ishtaloi, I would have forgotten the following. The imilach, I would have used the following klal that we all know. Rav Rabbi Yochanan, halacha Rabbi Yochanan. So I would have paskined that you could eat the egg, Shabbos, Yontif, you could eat it the next day. I would have passed him that way. However, Amar Rava, Hilchasa Kavase de Rav, Behane Tlas, Bein Lekula, Bein Lechumra. There was 3 Piskei Halachos that Rav gave regarding a Beitzah Shenolda b'Shabbos LeYontif, a Beitzah Shenolda on the Shtei Yom Tovim Shel Golyois, and a Beitzah that was laid on the first day of Rosh Hashanah. In the first and third scenarios, meaning Shabbos LeYontif and Rosh Hashanah, he was machmir. And le'inyan shnei yomtim shon shel golios, he was mekel. And the halacha is like Rav in those three places. So says Rav Papa, had I answered you yesterday in my shichris, I would have matted it, because I would have said the halacha is like Rabbi Yochanan. But in fact, the halacha is like Rav, that it's asur. Shabbos l'yontiv, yontiv l'Shabbos is asur. Okay? And we're going to see the daf, and we're going to see Be'ez Hashem the other two piskei of Rav, one today and one tomorrow. Guys, so far so good. We're going quick, or it's fine. Good. Now, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Eitzim shenisru min hadekel b'Shabbos. Tree branches fall off on Shabbos, right? Asur l'asikim b'yontif. It's asur to go ahead, Rod, and use them on yontif the next day. You can't use them. You'll say, like Rabbi Yochanan. Now, Rabbi Yochanan answers it, right? So, guys, what's the chiddush? Why did Rabbi Yochanan hold Shabbos l'yontif about the egg? Mutter. Shabbos l'yontif, the egg was mutter. So over here, l'chayra, it fell off on Shabbos. It's muktzah. You can't use it. Why can't you use it the next day? Rabbi Yochanan says, what? It's asur. Good. So the question is, what's the distinction that Rabbi Yochanan makes between an egg and the branch? So says Rabbi Yochanan anticipated it. Don't go ahead and ask me from Beitzah. My time Beitzah, the reason, the day the egg is born, no matter whether it's born on Shabbos or Yontif or even Shabbos, you can eat it. On Yontif, you can cook it and eat it. On Shabbos, you can eat it raw. And we only permitted it the next day. So since I could use it that day, but I didn't. So clearly, maybe the idea, the Bas Yuma Asura, people will know that day it's asur. Because again, there's no reason to asur it, fellas. If it's Yontif, cooking an egg is mutter on Yontif. If it's Shabbos, eating a raw egg is mutter on Shabbos. So the fact that I don't allow it to the next day, clearly people will say it's asur that day. Eitzim, would eitzim fall off a tree on Shabbos? You can't cook, you can't do anything with them, right? It's Shabbos. You can't cook it, you can't use it for fuel, you can't do anything with it. If I'll permit you the next day, really you could use it. It was Shabbos, I didn't use it. And there was a Shabbos sticker in. In other words, let's say it falls off on Yontif. Let's say it falls on Yontif. And the next day, right, you would say, well, it's muktzah, but really, if I would be the next day, the reason I'm not using it was for whatever reason, but really, I could use it the day before, because look, the next day I'm using it. So what's the reason I couldn't use it the day before? I don't know, maybe because it was Shabbos. It wasn't Shabbos, it was Yontif. And you may come to use it on Yontif, not realizing on Yontif it's either muktzah or perish shenashu, all the gezeros that we made. So therefore, in order to avoid the problem of making a mistake to use it on that day, we asked it the next day. By eggs, there's no reason to ask it the next day because you could use it that day. By wood, since the wood, if you use it the next day, people wouldn't realize the day before why you didn't use it because they'll say it's a Shabbos tikkutin. Now realizing it had nothing to do with Shabbos, even Yontif you can use it, and then they come to use it on Yontif. Therefore, I asked it. So it's like a gezerah. Amar Rav Masna, eitzim shenashu min hadekel l'toich hataner. Interesting shaila. You have it's Yontif, you're allowed to cook. Eitzim fall off a tree, and they fall right into the oven. You didn't do anything. Now, what could you do? So, marba aleim eitzim muchanim. You can go ahead and dump in more eitzim that are muchan, that are prepared. Umasikin and light it up. Fred the Gemara, how could you do this? The hakamahapich be'isura, when you're stoking it with isser, those trees that were muktzah, that fell off the tree. And for the Gemara, kivin the ruba de terininu, since you have a majority of heta, kika mahapich be'teru kamapich. Since you're doing heta, you're being mapich. So Benji's thinking right now the following question. You mean mevatel isur l'achila. Guys, we have a rule in Shas. You're not allowed to be mevatel isur l'achila. If I have 159, I need 160. You can't throw in another one to make it 60. It's got to be there before. You can't be mevatel isur l'achila. So why do you just tell me to do? If it falls in, no problem. Go take kosher wood and go dump it on and mevatel the thing. Says the Gemara, you can't mevatel isla lechatchila, right? So hani mili, when is that? That's bidaraisa. That's good. That was a case of truma, guys. By truma, you wanted to mevatel the truma. Truma is oil in 1 in 100. So you were one short. So there it says the mission there in the mission there in Trumas, you can't go ahead and do it. With the Rabbanon over here, it's only the Rabbanon. Let's say, what's the reason you can't use this tree, guys? It's muktzah. Muktzah is in the Rabbanon, right? Muktzah is in the Rabbanon, but the Rabbanon mevatlan. So therefore, this din Yesoid and Masechta Beitzah, this din of ein mevatlan slachachila is only in a deraisa din, not in a Rabbanon din. We spoke at the other day the concept of davar sheish lamatirin. That we come on to bittul, the Chacham said, is only when you have no other recourse. But let's say you have another recourse over here. Why? Just wait a day. You wait a day and it's going to be muta. So davar sheish lamatirin, right? We won't be slammed Rashi said on bittul. So over here, why are you able to go ahead and use this wood? The wood is only us at this day. The next day it's going to be muta. So why are you able to mevatel with something davar sheish lamatirin? We say davar sheish lamatirin afilu be'elef loy batel. So Michael Neymar says, "Hani mili heicha de'isali surah be'ena." When do we say davar sheish lamatirin is afilu be'elef loy batel? Is when it's still around. Hacha mikla kol yisur. Here the issue is going to be burnt up. So regarding ein mevatlis lechatchila the rabbanon. Regarding coming out, that's only when it's be'en, when it's around. Mashenken over here, where it's not around because it's burnt, it's okay. Itmar. Okay, here's the second of Rav's dinim. The first din was Rav going from Shabbos to Yom Tov. He was machmir. Here's the second one where he's meko. Itmar. Shnei yom tovim shel golyos. Rav Amar nolda bezeh muteres bezeh. If it's born on one, it's mut on the other. Here, so if it's born on the first day Yontif, it's permitted the second day Yontif. So Rav is being makel here, guys. This is the kula of Rav. With one day Yontif to the next day Yontif, we're being makel. Lema let us say kasafa Rav Asi kedusha achasi. When Rav Asi says it's asa, let's say he holds the 2 days of Goliath are one kedusha, meaning it was a chayk. It was a chayk. But Rav Asi mivdal miyum tuv l'chavei. Rav Asi would make. After the first day of Yontif, he would make a Havdalah, because maybe it was Yontif. So if it's Kedusha Achas, why in the world is he making what? Was he making a Havdalah? It's a good question. Why Bisman Hazeh, guys? Why don't we make Havdalah the first day? It's a suffix. Why don't we make it Havdalah first? Maybe the first day was the second day is Choyel. Maybe the first day was Kodesh. Okay, anyway, you'll see the art school briefs and stuff. Varasi Mabdul B'yum Tov L'Chavei. Okay, now this is an interesting suffix. Let's see Rashi, guys. This suffix is not which day it is. This Sluki Masafka. Go down when Rashi gets wide about 5 lines down. He's Sluki Masafka. In Choik Chachamim Hu Shechutul Al Golyois L'Doyrois, meaning for all generations, this is the law in the Golyos. Va'afilu Yarbu Behem Chachamim Yodei Itim. And even if you had people who were able to go ahead and ascertain the times, as we did when Hillel went ahead and was metak in the calendar, he did it. Right? Then they would make it 2. In Cain, Harihu Midrei Seifrim, in other words, he was mesupik whether once they said there's 2 days of Gullus, that's it. And even if we know without a shadow of a doubt which day it is, we don't care. It's still 1 day. It's still 2 days, as if it's one long day. It's a chayk. Or maybe they don't know which day it is. And one of them is chayil. And someone who would know how to go ahead and fix the calendar because he knew how to be kaveh the yarcha, boy Abdullah would have to make Abdullah. So this is the Shiloh. When Rav Asi made Abdullah both days, he was mesupik the following. He was mesupik whether, in fact, the first day is chayil, only because he didn't know what the din was. Maybe the only reason they instituted it because the messages couldn't get there. They wouldn't know which day Yontif was. Or no, he made Havdalah the second day. Why? Because maybe he wants to say that it's one block of time. It's one block of time, and they made a chayk. Now what? It's a Yom Aruch, like Rosh Hashanah. Like we're going to see Rosh Hashanah is one long day. Even in Eretz Yisrael, they kept. We're going to see this tomorrow morning. That's Hashem. Over here, here's Mesupik. How do you view the Shtei Yomim Tzom Shel Goliath? Do you view it like Rosh Hashanah, or do you view it like what? We? Now we know it's like this, right? Okay, so he kept. So the bottom line is, Rav said, "No, the Bezen Muteris Bezen." Rav Asi was al Safik. He didn't know. Omer Rav Zera Kavase de Rav Asi Mistabra to say that it's Asur on one day. One to the other is Asur. The Idna Yadina B'Kfiyah D'Yarcha. Bisman Hazel, we know exactly when the calendar is. The Kavdina Trei Yume, we still make 2 days. So therefore, it should be Asur. Amar Abaye Kavase de Rav Mistabra, that it should be Mutter. We keep 2 days. The reason we keep 2 days is because is als mini. Guys, this is Yesod. Bisman Hazel, we're not Mesupik at all. Bisman Hazel, we keep it because we're not Mevatel Min Hagim. And the minig was established, and once it was established, we keep it. So therefore, it's born on the first day, that's Yontif. The second day we know is only the Rabbana. There's no suffix what that second day is. We know the second day Yontif is Chayil. We know that. Why do we keep it? Because of the following Gemara. But Memela, regarding the halacha of Beitzah Shenolda on day 1 of Yontif, there's no doubt that the next day you could eat it. And that's why we pass from like Rav L'Kula. Rav Asi was Mesupik. We're not Mesupik. Now, what's the reason, therefore, why Bisman Hazeh do we keep 2 days? Here's the Gemara, guys. This is the source for 2 days. Did not. Or he's showing initially, they used to go ahead and they would have mountains. And once Bezdin was Mekadosh to the Levana, they would go ahead and light these torches. One would see the other, and they would go other, till Mamish, it would be spread throughout the diaspora, and people would know. Hakutim, they began waving things and messing things up. Hiskinu, they said, instead of using fire as a means of communication, let's send out the shluchim. So wherever the shluchim could reach, then we have 1 day yontif. Where they couldn't reach was 2 days yontif. The ilu batlu kutim. Now let's say the kutim, we would get rid of them. So the reason for the minig would be gone. Avdinon chad yuma, we make 1 yontif. Now that we know why do we make 2 days yontif, mishum desholchem itam hezhiru b'minig avaseichem, hezhiru b'minig avaseichem b'yadechem, kozim nem degozru amalchus gezeira v'asi le'aklukei. Maybe they can make a gezeira, the Romans or somebody, and we won't be able to learn Torah anymore. And we'll get back to a time where we won't know the Yarcha, we won't know the calendar. And we'll be Chayzel Liyash, and we'll go back to the previous state of disarray. So because of that minig, that's the reason, the whole reason Bisman Hazeh, we go ahead and keep 2 days. That's the reason 2 days. All right, guys, listen.